Hey y'all, hi. Okay, here's what's going on. Two things are going on. One, I am eager to apply to my face a combination of makeup products that I kind of hit upon when I was filming an overhead video last week, showcasing some of the makeup that I haven't worn yet in the year of 2023. So I have this look in mind. I'm going to apply the makeup to my face. And while I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about how my spending has been so far this year. So I already filmed a video talking about the struggles that I've faced with my challenge to myself to spend less impulsively in 2023. That video was about a bunch of things that I wanted to buy and didn't buy. And in this video, I'm just going to share with you the few things that I did buy in January because I'm not on a no buy and I didn't abstain completely from buying anything in January. When I got to the end of the month, I looked back over and kind of got a portrait of what spending more judiciously has looked like for me so far this year. And I want to now paint that portrait for you. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. You are getting the full dose in this video. My name is Hannah. I'm a beauty lover. I make beauty content, but I'm on a journey away from overspending on beautiful things, and that's something that I talk about on my channel too. So if that sounds good, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. So the products. When I was playing with my beloved makeup products that I'd like to use more in February, basically is what that video was. When I was playing with them, combining colors, combining textures, brainstorming, I hit on this color combination that just made my heart soar. It's like a plummy taupe. That's how I think of it. I don't know if that's what Tom Ford calls it. And this Tom Ford quad is actually something that my friend Kaki recently gave to me. She reviewed it on her channel. It didn't impress her very much. It's suiting me really well. And I had just kind of thrown it into the mix to see if it would complement any of the other makeup products that I've had for much longer that I'm trying to wear more. So the thing that really sparked my imagination was the idea of combining this, I'd call it like a smoky eggplant, but the purple is subtle, combining it with this orange gloss from Ellis Foss, which is like a really earthy, kind of fleshy, burnt orange. It's pretty simple, the idea of just putting this on my eyes and this on my lips, but I couldn't be more excited to do it. And I have some other makeup here. I might elaborate, but those are the bones of the goal. I'm going to start with the eye look. I'm just going to apply that one eyeshadow. Oh, I need to prime my lids. I'm just going to apply that one eyeshadow all over, and I'll let you know if I depart from that brief. I'm imagining an eye look that just consists of that. So I'll probably build it up a little more in the outer corner to give my eyes some dimension, but keep it pretty simple and pretty monochromatic on the eyes. So the first thing that I purchased in January, and just briefly, in case you're not caught up, I said this in the introduction, but the goal in January is not to go on a no buy, but to have my first reaction to my desire to buy stuff be no, I'm probably not going to do that. Just kind of dwell in the safety and relief really of no being the answer every time, rather than agonizing all the time about whether I should or shouldn't buy something, whether it's going to be worth the money, etc., etc. And I didn't really say this in either, I sort of indicated in my second video about this project, the one called Buying Less Struggle So Far. But to me, it's very much about clothing. It's very much about me spending too much time planning what my next clothing purchase is going to be and spending too much money on clothing and having too much clothing. All of the other things that I love to buy, makeup, skincare, body care, homewares, I'm still on alert for unwise spending on those things, but clothing has really become my Achilles heel. So I've had that in the back of my mind this month. So given that the goal is to default to no and just not to stress out about it, what are the things that I did buy and why? The first thing is this, not the candle inside. This is a candle I've had for a long time and it's done. The last time I burned it was the last time. It's so sad. Cèdre 11 by Le Labo. I think it's my favorite candle of all time. Although Tom Ford Bitter Peach maybe gives it a run for its money, but I really loved having this candle. So this is the thing that I purchased. It is a cloche, a candle cloche. Its purpose, it does look very beautiful, but its purpose is to snuff a candle without filling the house with smoke. So some candles have lids and you can either blow them out and then really quickly snuff them so that the smoke doesn't fill the house. And when that happens, when the smoke fills the house, it's like it counteracts the smell of the candle that you've been burning for an hour or two. It just takes away everything you've given yourself by burning a beautiful scented candle. And also, In my house, I have a husband who is sensitive to smoke, like quite sensitive. And he really, really hates it when there's like an extinguished candle that's filling the house with smoke. It's something that I try to be careful about for his sake. So it's not just a cosmetic or an aesthetic thing. So some candles have a lid that you can either use to smother the candle or you can blow it out and then cover it really quickly. But a lot of candles don't. Like this one didn't come with one. And so what I end up doing is like blowing it out and then putting like a book on top. But then like the book will get smoke on it or a plate or something. But then one of our kitchen dishes has migrated to another part of the house. It's been this little inconvenience about burning candles that has persisted for a long time, especially since Joe is sensitive to smoke. So this completely solves that problem. And in such an elegant way, right? You just cover the still burning candle with it. It slowly burns up all of the oxygen inside and extinguishes itself, and the smoke is completely contained inside the cloche. Brilliant. So why did I buy this, even though I didn't need it? And it wasn't something that I had been planning. Like I wasn't over here being like, I want a cloche and I'm just waiting for the perfect one to come along. I hadn't really thought about it, right? Well, I think it was a combination of factors, and a major one was circumstantial. I actually came across this cloche in person, and I was with my friends, Kaki and Simbri, on kind of a girls' weekend. We were walking around together before lunch one day, peeking in a bunch of cute little shops, and in one of the cute little shops, I spotted this cloche. And as soon as I saw it, I realized what an ideal solution it would be for the problem that I was having in the house. I was like, this is something that I will unquestionably use all the time. It will improve our quality of life. Joe will be so happy about it. I absolutely love how it looks, so it will add to the decor of our house. And it wasn't very expensive either for something that's so nice and so well made. I think it was around $40. And honestly, when I looked at it and I realized that it's something I might use, I expected it to be closer to like $60 or $70. So I was pleasantly surprised by the price, and it just seemed like a no-brainer. However, the automatic answer is no right now. The answer is probably not. So what I did was I talked it over with Kaki and Simbri. They were like, well, what are all the reasons why it makes sense to get it? I explained to them everything that I've explained to you, and they were like, it really does seem to make sense, especially because the price is right. And I agreed with them, but I gave it some time. So we went to lunch. I didn't buy it right away. We went to lunch and I thought about it. I had a delightful lunch with them, kind of drifted away, got used to the idea of not having it, got used to the idea of not getting it. I drifted from the initial impulse and the initial excitement. After lunch, I revisited it from a much more kind of calm, stable, practical place. I decided to get it. So we went back to the shop together and I got it. I think that this is something that I would never have bought online. So if I were just browsing and I came across it on some homewares website, I would probably have had similar thoughts about like, oh, this would be an ideal solution to all of my issues. And I would have been right. But the automatic no in that case would have prevailed. It would have just been one more of the many things that I come across that I kind of want, that I think might be good for me, that I put on my wish list instead of buying and then forget about over time. And that would have been fine too. I think that the reason that I ended up going ahead and getting this one was that I was out with my friends and it was like the whole experience, right? I came across it. I realized what a practical and also beautiful purchase it would be. Hadn't bought anything for myself yet in January. And I felt like I wasn't doing it impulsively. And I also knew that it wasn't in my most urgent problem category, which was clothing. I didn't feel like it was outside of the realm of affordability for me. And I also, in a way, was doing it for my husband because it ultimately makes our house a happier and more habitable place for him to live. If I had decided not to get it, it would have been fine. And I would have just continued using books and plates to smother my candles, and there would have been nothing wrong with that. But I'm really glad that I did decide to get it because it has in it and with it the kind of sense memory of being with my friends. You know what I mean? Like I'll always think of it as something that I got when I was visiting Kaki, and I'll remember Simbri and Kaki kind of like talking it over with me. And even after I got home, Simbri sent me a text and she was like, I'm really glad you decided to get the cloche. I think it was a good decision for you. You know what I mean? It felt natural and pleasurable and pleasant, and untroubled. The whole process of being delighted that I had found something in person on that outing that would fit so well into my life, and then determining that it was something that I could afford and that I wouldn't be sorry that I got, and then getting it, which is so different from the like late night scrolling and like guiltily adding things to the cart and then agonizing over it and kind of being sucked into this like fantasy realm of how perfect your life will be if you'll have the thing. You know, it was so different from that. So that was the first thing, and in a way the most significant thing. Like, it's not something that I'll use up. It's not a product that I'll use up. It's something that theoretically will stay in my house forever. Like, I purchased it as a permanent item of decor and homewares and use value in my life, in our house. And that's a much more significant decision than buying the next thing that I'm going to tell you about, which is a beauty product. So this is also Kaki's fault. This is also Kaki related. Simri and Kaki and I, when we were hanging out, talked a lot about our work and products we've been reviewing. And one of the things that Kaki has recently discovered, a newly released product that she was all worked up about, is the Make Beauty Reverse Emulsion. This is it right here. She just could not stop talking about how beautiful it is on the skin, how good it feels, how high-end it feels, what amazing value for money it is. She swatched it on the back of my hand. She was right. And she described it as a kind of high-end version, like a grown-up version of the Glossier Future Dew, which is a product that I really loved back in the day and that I used a lot, but that I haven't had in a long time. And I have been really appreciating that type of product lately, like a skincare product that also serves as a skin finishing makeup primer, and that feels like it's sort of doing double duty, and that has a particularly beautiful finish and is hydrating. The one that I have is the Natasha Denona Skin Glass. That's the product that I've been using that kind of functions in that role. But it's more on the syrupy, slimy side. And I mean that in a good way, because I like how hydrating it is. I guess I should say syrupy, serum-y side. Then Reverse Emulsion, which is a little bit thinner and kind of becomes one with the skin more, which is what I felt when I swatched it at Kaki's house. Now, I did purchase it myself. I didn't use my channel's budget for review, but I think that my purchase of this product was informed by the fact that I knew that it would go straight into rotation for review on my channel, that I would be talking about it, reviewing it. I know a lot of you have an interest in Make. It is a new release in the beauty space. And so there was sort of this hybrid reasoning for me. It was like half because I really wanted to try it myself and because I thought that I would really love it. If I didn't review products on YouTube, I think it's likely that I would have waited until I ran out of the Natasha Denona Skin Glass, and then I would have gotten this as a replacement for that. But because it's brand new to the market and I feel like now's the time to be reviewing it, I went ahead and kind of fast-tracked that. So it makes sense to me that I decided to get it. It is also something that I would have been totally fine living without. And I think more than anything else that I bought this month, it felt close to the edge. You know what I mean? It felt like a little bit of a treat. I was kind of like, this is my one thing. You know what I mean? I kind of had that feeling when I got it. I was like, I could be saying no, but instead I'm saying yes. And that had something to do with the way that it would fit into my life and work. But I also knew that I could be saying no, but instead I was saying yes. It helped that it's, again, not wildly expensive. I think if it was like a $78 skincare product, I would have absolutely balked. But as it is, I think it's under $40, maybe even be closer to $30, between $30 and $40. And my experience with Make is that their pricing is incredible relative to how luxurious the products are. So that made the decision easier for me as well. I'm gonna stop there with the eyes, but I think I'm gonna use this. I have these two Victoria Beckham liners that Kaki also gave me. One is the sparkly green and one's a sparkly black. I don't want to use the sparkly black today. I'm gonna use a sparkly green, not because I particularly relish adding green to this look right now, but just because it'll be softer. It will be more subtle. And I know from using it that it's not a very bright green. It's more of just like this lovely, mucky neutral. So I just put a very soft, light application of that into my waterline to make it so that my waterline wasn't super pale and like standing out. But I didn't use too much of it. Yeah, it does look like I need to clean up fallout. So the third thing that I got is also Kaki's fault. #influenced. And this, I'm including it because in this video, I'm literally telling you everything. I'm probably not not going to do this every month. It's not going to be like an entire year where I tell you absolutely everything that I bought. I just feel like because I'm close to the beginning of living with this like attitude shift in relation to shopping, or like trying to enforce this attitude shift, it's the most interesting to monitor it right now. And I know that a lot of you are interested in it as well. So that's why I'm being so thorough in this video. But this is something that is very arguably a replacement product, like the kind of thing that I have absolutely no compunction about buying. For the most part, I function now in a replacement system. So I don't buy a cleansing oil until I've completely run out of cleansing oil or balm. I don't buy shampoo until I've used up all of the shampoo that I have. If I want to try a different product in one of those mainstay practical categories, I wait until I've used up the one that I have before I buy the other product. And that's very nearly the case with this. So this is the Naturium. It's the only thing I've ever tried from Naturium. It's called the Glow Getter Multi-Oil Body Wash. The reason it's Kaki's fault is that she had it in her guest room shower, and I used it when I was there, and I was like, wow. Wow, I want this, I need this. What is it that one of you lovely people always says? I want they, I need they, I saw they on TV. It was like that. I want they, I need they, I saw they in Kaki's guest room shower. I was like, I need it all over my skin because I've been having really itchy, dry skin on my back lately because it's the middle of winter, and I hate body lotion, but I've been like putting it on because my skin's so dry. And this is so intensely oilishly nourishing. It's like the old Bioderma oil body wash that I used to get on steroids. It's just like the most intensely nourishing body product I have ever tried. And I also like the smell. I can imagine the smell being kind of controversial. It's sort of like a musty peaches, like slightly overripe apples, maybe, but I like it. I'm going to put on some mascara. I'm still using Lash Prototype from Make, and it's actually dried out enough that I don't have to wipe the wand off anymore. It's been like 2 months, like it's been a really long time, but it's finally gotten there. So I had been using the Soft Services, really simple, fairly nourishing body wash. It's like fantastic. That was what I had in my shower that I was using as like my basic everyday, good for the skin, healthy for the skin body wash. And it was completely used up. Like basically when I went to Kaki's, I had an empty bottle of that in my shower, and I hadn't decided what I was going to get yet to replace it. I do have another body wash in my shower right now, but it's like a really expensive, really heavily scented Le Labo body wash. I'm planning to talk about it in an upcoming video, so I won't spill all of the beans right now, but I can't use it every day because it's too expensive and also it's too heavily scented. Like it's sort of like a special occasion. I'll use like a tiny bit at the end of the shower or at the end of the night, or a little bit in my bath to make things cozy. It's in there, but it's not my everyday body wash. And so what had happened was that I had run out of the Soft Services one, and I only had the Le Labo one left. And so I was using it every time I was in the shower, and I was like, oh no, I'm going through it too quickly and I'm too scented. I smell too good. So the discovery of this at Kaki's house was very timely, and I ordered it without compunction for that reason. It was either going to be this or the Soft Services one again, and this is much, much more affordable and more nourishing, and was exciting to me because it was new to me. It's only $16 for this entire bottle. Joe has been using it too, so we've gone through quite a lot. It pumps out a lot. It's like you just need one pump for your whole body, and I think it's taken both of us a little while to get used to that. But we both feel we're really benefiting from the nourishment of that product, and I'm really glad that I got it. And then the last thing that I bought this month is some books. And, you know, I'm always buying books, not like to excess. I buy them and then I read them. And some of them I buy just the Kindle editions and read them on my Kindle. Those ones tend to be a little less expensive. They, you know, are like $5, $6, sometimes up to $11, $12. But I'm not over here like running down my bank account because of the books that I'm buying. But I'm just mentioning it again because I'm trying to look back over everything that I bought this month and sort of like look at the money that I did spend rather than saving, that I didn't spend on like food and stuff. Where did it go? And when I looked, books are definitely like the fourth thing after these three things. Mostly there are books for my Kindle, but I also got 1 or 2 books of poetry. I bought a couple of books for the meditation class that I'm taking with Julia Frodal. There are 2 books that are recommended reading to go with that course, so I bought both of those. I just, you know, bought a handful of books this month, as I often do. So that's all of it. The Candle Cloche, the Make Beauty Serum, the Naturium Body Wash, and some books. And here's how I'm feeling. And while I tell you I'm going to use this e.l.f. lip and cheek palette on my cheeks, I mostly just want to gloss them up, but I'm going to add a little bit of color as well. I'm feeling good, because the overall spend was reasonable, like pretty reasonable. I think with the Cloche and the Make Beauty Serum together, let's say that was $80. And then adding the Naturium, which technically was like for both of Joe and me, so it's like whatever, but I did spend my own money on it. That takes us up to $96, so nearly to $100 absent the books, which I do kind of think of books in a separate category. They're not something that I compulsively buy, and they're something that I really like support myself in buying, you know what I mean? So for what used to be my problem categories, makeup, skincare, clothing, homeware, is for everything that falls into that group, I came in at just under $100, which is decent for a monthly budget for me. I mean, like really good, especially compared to my behavior in like November and December. I bought 2 pieces from Baba in December. You know what I mean? Like this is a fraction of what I spent on myself over the course of the last couple months of the year. And more importantly, even than that, I think to me, no clothing. And I was tempted. I mean, I told you know, if you saw my video about the things that I struggled not to buy, it was clothing that tempted me the most. And there were times when I felt it was unfair that I wasn't letting myself buy those things, and momentarily was in a frenzy of thinking that I would buy some clothing. But I ultimately managed to resist for the whole month. I made it through an entire month without purchasing anything that falls into the category of that particular vice, which is a really good little milestone for me on this journey. There, so I added a little bit of color, but then I kind of smothered it with the shine, the highlight that's in here. So it almost looks like I don't have any cheek makeup on, that my cheeks are just a little bit glowy, which is what I wanted. But I feel like the redness under my eyes and around my nose isn't too blanked out, so it doesn't look too unnatural, that there isn't like blush balancing out a super blank canvas of skin. It just looks a little bit more like real skin. I think that's good for today. And then the last thing that's going on with just the overall takeaway, let me just put this on really quickly. Wow, that really puts the butter on the spinach, doesn't it? I mean, that is what makes it a look. And that's what I've been imagining this whole time. I love the combination of this gloss with this simple eye look. Yeah, very pleased with the way that the vision has manifested. The last thing I was going to say is that I did have kind of an unexpected expense this month, which is that I suddenly started feeling some pretty bad shoulder pain, like a little more than halfway through the month. I think it was maybe like a pinched nerve, something in my rotator cuff. It was like inside of this shoulder, which is unusual for me because I'm right-handed. So I tend to get stuff from work in my right hand and my right arm. This was like squarely in my left arm, and it was like inside of it. So my main approach to solving that problem was to look up Bob and Brad, Bob and Brad, the 2 most famous physical therapists on the internet. Bob and Brad are these really effective physical therapists that have a YouTube channel. And so whenever I'm dealing with something like that, where something's really wrong and I know that I need physical therapy, I just go to YouTube and I type in Bob and Brad neck pain, like Bob and Brad hip stretches, Bob and Brad rotator cuff. That's what I typed in. I was like Bob and Brad shoulder pain, Bob and Brad rotator cuff. And I just like did a bunch of the exercises that they recommend. And it totally did what it needed to do. Like it totally kind of released whatever was pinched in there. But all the muscles had like seized up around whatever had gone wrong. And I was in significant discomfort for a lot of the month. And so I got a couple of massages. And when I looked back over the month, I looked back over my bank account for the month, like checked in, and I was like, okay, here's how much I saved of the paycheck that I got at the beginning of the month. And here's how much I spent of it. Okay, where did that money go? I saw these little purchases that I had made. And then I saw that actually most of what I spent went towards the massages that I had. And luckily I found a great massage therapist where I live. And luckily she was able to see me once a week for the last 3 weeks of the month. But that really adds up, And the wonderful thing of it is there was no money stress around that, even though I knew that it would add up. And that at the end of the month, I would see that there had been this massage-oriented drain on my bank account because I wasn't also out there buying Baba sweaters and Foxy Kind knit sets and all of those other things. I was very much able to take the hit. And that is where the difference, I think, really shows shows itself to me in this month of restraint, earning the freedom to do something like spend money on myself when I really need it for something that some might consider a kind of emergency, and not having to worry about it and not having to feel guilty about it. It just makes a big difference to the stress level. And it was something else that I noticed, not necessarily the point of this video, right? Because the point was to tell you what the things were that I purchased, even in this state of austerity. But that was the thing that struck me the most when I looked over my bank account at the end of January. If this had happened in December, I would have looked back over at the end of the month and I would have been like, oh my gosh, I spent all that money on massage on top of everything else, and I would have felt terrible about it. But it was the right thing to do. So that is it. That is all the tea about how it's going for me. This is like the second half of the two-part video. The first one was the things I wanted to buy and didn't. And the second one, this one was the things that I actually did end up buying and how much they essentially ended up costing me. And the look that I conceived of in an earlier video brought to life on the face. I'm probably going to take some pictures for Instagram. This lip is really saying to me, photograph me for Instagram. So I'm off. I appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing if you've decided to do so, for liking and commenting. Thank you for all of that. Please remember to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.